Welcome back. Now, the Democratic Alliance say that action must be taken against salaried government employees who applied for the 350 Rand COVID-19 relief grant. The DA says that by the end of February 2021, almost 40,000 government employees had applied for the SRD grant. The opposition party says that the Department of Social Development has confirmed that more than 200 government employees had actually received the relief grant in May of 2020, but that no action has been taken to recover the looted money. The DA also notes that government has not taken any legal or disciplinary action against the almost 40,000 government employees who applied for the grant. Dr. Mimmy Gondwe is the DA's Deputy Shadow Minister of Public Service and Administration and joins us now to talk about all of this. Dr. Gondwe, thanks for your time. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you very much, Sakina, and good morning to your viewers as well. Thank you so much for having me on Morning Live.
So let's just start with how this came to light, because so many South Africans who really needed this grant actually battled with the application. So why was it then so easy for civil servants who actually are gainfully employed, who are salaried, to apply for this grant?
Sakina, let me just give you some context around how I came to ask this question. Just want to give you some background so you understand, because this is one of two press statements that I put out with respect to this issue. So I started driving this issue in February this year, after the president announced that this grant, this SRD grant, will be extended for another 3 months. And I then, remembered that the AG had raised concerns when they were looking into the financial management of this social economic relief package that government had put in place. And they had raised concern that they may have, they were questionable and undeserving beneficiaries of this particular grant. And then speaking to my colleagues on the social development portfolio, namely Honorable Bridget Masango and Honorable Alexander Abrahams, they then informed me that in September 2020, Minister Zulu had appeared before the portfolio committee, and she had also indicated that they possibly may have been public service employees who had applied for this grant. And so I put questions, and my questions were directed towards Minister Zulu as well as the Department of Public Service and Administration, because this issue obviously concerns public service employees. And I asked them 5 questions in this regard. The first question was, have they been able to establish conclusively whether public service employees have applied for this particular grant? And the second question was for them to confirm if indeed public service employees had received this grant. And then I also asked about the amount involved in this regard. And then I also inquired about the steps or the measures they had put in place to ensure that no public service employees get this grant, and also about whether there had been any disciplinary or legal action taken against public service employees that they've determined have applied for this grant and have received it. And this includes recovering the monies that they received, from this grant. And so the statement that I put out a day or two ago was basically, letting members of the public know that this is the response that I received. And the response that I received was that as of the 28th of February 2021, they had established that 39,672 public service employees had actually applied for this grant. And they further indicated that 241, and this was a determination made by the Office of the Auditor General, that 241 public service employees had in actual fact received the grant. And then, but this is what amazed me, was that they indicated that no disciplinary or legal action had been taken against the implicated employees. And mark my words here, Sakina, I am not saying that there should be no investigations, because we cannot charge people or institute legal proceedings against them unless we have proof that indeed they applied and it would be fraudulently and unlawfully in these circumstances, and they actually received it. So they indicated that the investigations are ongoing, and as a result, nothing had been done about these 39,672 public service employees. Even more so, the 241 that have been determined by the AG to have received this grant for the month of May 2020. And so around the systems, so when I asked about the systems they had put in place, the response I got was that we've put systems in place post-May 2020. And, the systems that we've put in place is that the ID numbers of applicants for this grant are then cross-checked against public service databases such as PESO and PESA, and they are awaiting access to the GEPF database, to be able to cross-check an applicant's ID against this database.
So, Dr. Gondwe, you say as far as you know, no disciplinary action has been taken as yet. Have you met with or discussed in any way with the Department of Social Development this particular matter? And if so, what was the feedback?
No, I haven't met. I don't sit on that committee, so I sit on Public Service and Administration, the Portfolio Committee. But I'm not saying, according to me, the responses they've given us response to say that no disciplinary or legal action has been taken against these public service employees. And they further indicate that, there's a possibility that some of the public service employees that are implicated in this regard may have been testing the system or assisting someone in applying. But that needs to be, established, conclusively, whether indeed that is the case. And I doubt that, 39,000 public service employees could have all tested the system or, tried to apply on behalf of somebody. And I sense that there is an element of fraud and unlawfulness in some of these applications. But fortunately as well, because they put these systems in place post-May 2020, none of these, according to them, none of these 39,672 public service employees have received the grant because the system was able to decline their applications.
But then the Auditor General's report had indicated that there were about 240 people who actually did receive the grant. Do we know whether that money has been recuperated?
No, that money has not been recuperated. So they indicate that even the 241 that received this grant for the month of May 2020, and this was established by the Office of the Auditor General, that investigations against those specific employees have not been finalized or concluded. And that's why I called on DSD to solicit the help of DPSA in getting to the bottom of these investigations and making sure that they're concluded. So those that have unlawfully and fraudulently benefited from these grants, are dealt with, because it cannot be right, Sakina, and it must not be right that you have public service employees that are drawing a salary from the state coffers, applying for this grant in the first place. How does that happen? And it's a matter of principle, because then they indicate that, an amount of plus or minus 80,000 was actually involved in this regard. Those 241 public service employees who received the grant, that is the amount that is implicated, because I asked about, the amount that is implicated, especially as regards public service employees that have received the SRD grant. And one might be thinking that's a nominal amount, but it's the principle, Sakina. They should have not been allowed in the first place to even apply for this grant. And I take the point that some of them maybe have been testing the system or trying to assist, but Sakina, it's wrong that even the 241 received that grant.
So what action would you like to see taken against this? Apologies, Dr. Gondwe. Just wrapping this, because we're getting reaction from the Minister of Social Development. What action would you like to see taken against the civil servants who are actually found guilty of this particular transgression?
I would like to see, and the minister indicated in a response that once the investigations are concluded, then she would ensure that, the outcome of the investigations are communicated to the relevant departments, and then, disciplinary processes are then instituted against the relevant employees, and those that have received the money then is recouped or recovered through legal processes. And I welcome that, but on my part I'm pleading with the minister to ensure that these investigations are concluded, so that there's decisive disciplinary and legal action taken against public service employees who are found to have fraudulently and unlawfully applied for this grant and even received it.
And just as a final question, do you have a timeline, Dr. Gondwe, as to when those investigations actually started?
I don't have a timeline, and I had thought of putting in follow-up questions in this regard around when did the investigation start and when do they see the investigations coming to an end, and also trying to establish how these investigations are being conducted, because as far as I know, they are SASSA-led investigations.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thanks so much, Dr. Mimmy Gondwe, DA Deputy Shadow Minister of Public Service and Administration, talking to us about almost 40,000 government employees, 39,672, I think was the number to be precise, government employees who illegally applied for the 350 Rand Social Relief of Distress COVID grant. So we are going to get reaction from the Minister of Social Development, Lindiwe Zulu, about this particular matter. Also following up on whether anybody has been held accountable and why monies have not been recuperated as yet. Please stay with us.